Hello, all you lovers of vulgar and ostentatious decoration. Welcome to chapter 5 of my Basics of Baroque Improvisation. Today we're going to talk about something called versets, which kind of acts as a summing up of all the stuff we've learnt so far. What is a verset? Well, maybe the easiest thing is to play you one. This is an actual, honest piece of music written by somebody who isn't me, and it goes a bit like this. Right, so what's all that about then? Well, this is actually a short, anonymous organ piece for use in a church service. And often these things are actually improvised, which is, where it's useful for us. And they're short, which is also useful for us. And probably you'll notice that there's quite a lot of commonality with the sort of things I've been improvising over the past couple of lessons. So we have a sort of opening here. So that's sort of an embellishment of the tied bass opener in lesson number 2. And also we have, it sort of goes around to a sort of half cadence, which then sets up this cycle. Yeah. Okay, and that's very, very reminiscent of the sort of things we've been dealing with in the past couple of lessons. If you haven't looked at those, please look at those, or this will probably not make a whole lick of sense. And then we come to I'm sorry, but it won't. And then we come to might not make sense anyway. Then we come to this, which is a sort of extended cadence. Sorry, an extended cadence. So that sort of goes 5-1 basically. But we're not quite at the end yet. We go back to the 4 chord, A minor 6 in this case. The whole piece is in E minor, just like my last video. It's almost like I planned it. Oh. And that sort of classic churchy tierce de Picardy where we resolve to an E major instead of the expected E minor. So that's all very, very much like the sort of things we've been doing. And there are what we might call diminution patterns on a cycle, for instance. So we go, so we do that for the E minor. It's just a straight E minor really, isn't it? Not even E minor 7. And we go. We have a walking bass variation, if you remember from the last video, and then another walking bass. What am I doing? Yeah. And another. And then winding its way around to the half diminished chord, F sharp half diminished, and then 5. Should be familiar to every jazz musician. And then hard to get the A there. And a cheesy little ornament at the end there, just to sort of underline how churchy all of this is. So essentially we've broken it down to a 3-part structure: beginning, middle and end. Okay, the beginning is the opener, the middle is some sort of sequence, and the end is a cadence. So therefore we have everything we need to make up a verset. Now I don't know why I made that noise, but I'm making that noise, so there you go. Maybe it's a sort of I'm teaching Baroque music sort of noise. Okay, well, listen. For which I apologise. So if you go to the internet, I can't remember the acronym. Hang on, I'll just look it up.
A few moments later.
Oh yes, that's it. The International Music Score Library Project, IMSLP. I've spent about 10 minutes typing the wrong acronym into Google there, so you'll be glad I've cut that out and all of the bad words that I said. If you go to IMSLP, you will find dozens of these things. Just type in versets. Some of them by completely obscure composers now, and some of them by like literally Mozart. The Mozart ones are unfortunately too good for our purposes. So what's really nice about these sorts of anonymous ones is that they are basically basic, right? They just do the sort of bare minimum, whereas Mozart's doing all kinds of clever Mozart stuff, and we're not as good as Mozart. I mean, I'm not even really as good as old Anonymous here, you know, who was the composer of this particular organ verset, which comes from a collection by Fortunato Salvini. Great name, I just love saying that name. So he was a 19th century musicologist, Italian, who introduced Bach to the Italians apparently, so he's kind of important, but he also collected these sorts of bits of anonymous music apparently. And I got this from another great improvisational channel, and I'm going to read this off my phone and murder his name. Apologies for any Polish speaking people here. Szymon Jakubowski. Jakubowski? Yeah, maybe. Szymon Jakubowski. Sorry. Do your best with that. I'll put the letters up on the screen so you can sort of follow that, and a link in the description. His channel's great. Again, he's a pianist, but he understands what chord symbols are, so that's nice. I always like somebody who writes chord symbols. He's not a purist. He's very much practically oriented, which I can really relate to. Let's compose a verset of our own. We're going to start with some block chords. I'm going to start on D major. D major needs some love. And I'm going to start with that one. No idea what's going on outside, by the way, if you can hear that. Hopefully you can't too much. Okay, we'll do a quiescenza opening. Let's keep it in 3 voices actually. Okay, then we go a sequence. Let's do a cascade sequence. We'll go to G/B or a 6 chord on B. C sharp diminished triad. Next chord will be F sharp minor, I suppose, over A. So probably I'll play this shape. Keep it consistent, and then we go to B minor. Actually, sorry, G natural. Okay, let's do that again. So. Very, very simple. I'm already starting to introduce some figuration into it. Let's do a little figuration thing on it. Yeah. To get the most mileage out of that, I'm just sort of changing the voicing slightly. So I'm going, for instance, on a D. Yeah, to give it a bit more melody to it, and then to the G chord. Something like that. I did it slightly differently a second ago, but you know, hey, it's improvisation. I'll keep changing it, and there's nothing you can do. Nothing at all. 5 chord or a G major 7 over B, and then changing the voicing again, and then we can go to our next chord, which will be this one. Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. So let's play it all the way through. Might change again. Sorry. That's all right. Let's change key and do something else. Let's do something in, I don't know, a minor key, but not the usual minor key. What about A minor? We can use some A bass notes then. We'll do our. We'll stick with the quiescenza actually. That's our quiescenza opening. This time we're going to do a type bass, so we're going to move to the first inversion D, and then we're going to go to a Q India. I think I probably owe you an explanation for that. Let's try that again. So we're going to go with the quiescenza opening, which is supposedly easy with the open string. Okay, D minor slash B, G7 slash F. That is I find it so hard to name chords sometimes. C major slash E. So actually F slash E, F major 7 slash E. And then we go back to our D minor 6 really, but an inverted B diminished triad. And you'll notice I'm doing these passing tones on top. And then we get to our D bass, so that's, I'm sorry, E7 over D. It's a D4-2 chord. And I'm doing a sort of chromatic walk up to that 4 chord because I really like it. And then our cadence. And then a tierce bickety. Very churchy. Let's do it again. I'm going to do it with my little bubba dabba 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 figuration thing. Okay, that's nice. Again, we can change it up by adding more bass notes or more figuration to it. So I would probably add more to the melody actually for this particular one. I'd do something like yeah. could even go. Right, so what did I do there? That's a chromatic walk up from the flat 3. Natural third, 4, sharp 4, 5. So we're just using, for those 2 chromatic chords, we're just using basically first inversion, dominant 7th chords, or 6/5 chords if you prefer. So, I prefer to call them that. I mean, the same chord, right? Different name. And then 6/4 chords, so A over the E. Yeah, I keep forgetting to use the open strings. Anyway, put that together with what we've talked about in the last couple of videos, and we're starting to make music. The next video is going to be about how to read figured bass, because we're going to start our moves towards understanding partimenti, which is kind of what we've been doing, but understanding them from the original sources rather than having chord symbols written out all the time. Anyway, see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.